When 20-year-old Michael Okoye stepped off the plane in New York, the cold air hit him like a wave of reality. He had come from Nigeria with dreams of making it big, working hard, sending money home, maybe building a future he could be proud of. But the journey wasn't going to be easy. Michael had been lucky. An African community group had helped him find a place to stay temporarily, a shared room in a large, old house in Queens. He took up a warehouse job, working long night shifts. Quiet, reserved, but sharply intelligent, he kept to himself. Until one rainy evening changed everything. Jessica Thompson, 25, lived just down the street. A freelance graphic designer with a free spirit, she noticed Michael one evening standing at the bus stop in the rain, waiting. Something about him intrigued her, maybe the seriousness in his eyes, or how he always greeted people politely but never really talked much. She pulled over in her red Toyota Corolla and rolled the window down. "You don't need to stand there soaking wet," she smiled. "Get in. I live nearby." Michael hesitated. "No, thank you, I'll be okay." But her kindness wasn't fake. She insisted, and eventually he got in. From that moment, something shifted. Jessica began inviting him over for dinner occasionally. Just simple things, pasta, rice, nothing fancy. They'd talk, laugh. She loved his accent, and he admired how confidently she lived alone in a big city. One night, after dinner, the rain came down hard again. Jessica looked out the window and said, "You're not walking back in that storm." "I can manage," Michael said softly. "No. You're staying here." That night, they watched a movie on her couch, covered in a single blanket. It was supposed to be innocent, but their hands found each other under the blanket. And slowly, their lips met. They didn't speak much after that. But when Jessica took his hand and led him to her bedroom, it was like neither of them could stop what had begun. That night was full of warmth, closeness, and whispered moments, the kind of connection that felt deeper than just passion. Jessica thought it meant something real. Michael didn't speak much. Jessica started caring deeply for Michael. She bought him better clothes, helped fix his resume, and even tried to get him interviews at better jobs. Michael accepted it all with quiet gratitude. They spent more nights together. She introduced him to her friends as someone special. But Michael never introduced her to anyone. He said he didn't know many people yet. What Jessica didn't see, or maybe didn't want to see, was the pattern. Michael came over most nights, ate, relaxed, slept with her, and left the next morning. No promises. No deep talks. Just that soft smile that always made her heart race. Weeks turned into months. Jessica was in love. One morning, she said quietly, "Michael, would you ever marry someone like me?" He smiled, gently kissing her forehead. "You're a good person, Jessica." That wasn't a yes. Still, she hoped. But one night, she came home early from a trip to find Michael wasn't alone in her house. He had used the spare key and was in bed with another girl. Jessica froze at the doorway. "What is this?" Michael sat up, startled. "Jessica, it's not what you think." "No? Because it looks exactly like what I feared." He dressed silently. The other girl left in a hurry. Jessica felt like the floor had fallen beneath her. "You've been using me," she whispered. Michael said nothing for a long time. Then, he finally looked at her and said, "I needed help. I didn't ask you to fall in love." Tears burned her eyes. "I gave you everything. My heart. My home." Michael shrugged. "And I said thank you." Jessica never saw him again after that. She blocked his number, changed the locks, and took months to rebuild her spirit. Michael moved on, found another woman who could help him with documents. He never stayed in one place too long. But Jessica learned a lesson. Love needs respect. And kindness should never be taken for granted. She found peace in her art. In time, she met someone who respected her deeply. Someone who didn't just smile but stayed. That one night taught me everything about trust, heartbreak, and how sometimes the hardest goodbyes save you from the worst futures. 6 months later, Jessica was different now. She had stopped searching for closure from Michael. She joined therapy, started hiking on weekends, and took up art commissions that filled her days with color again. She was healing, but the past has a way of circling back. It was a cold February evening when Jessica heard a knock at her door. She opened it and froze. Michael stood there. He looked thinner, worn out, eyes heavy with something unfamiliar. Regret. "I'm sorry to show up like this," he said softly. I've been thinking about you." Jessica didn't say a word. She simply stared. "I was selfish," he continued. "I used you when you were nothing but kind to me. I don't have excuses, only apologies." Jessica crossed her arms. "Why are you here, Michael?" "I don't know where else to go," he admitted. "I lost my job. The woman I moved in with kicked me out. I thought, maybe you'd let me explain." Jessica studied his face. There was no manipulation this time. Just a broken man. "You hurt me," she said firmly. "I was in love with you. I gave you everything, and you threw it away for comfort." Michael nodded, shame washing over him. "I was scared. I grew up having to survive by using people before they used me. I didn't know how to receive real love. But I've realized what I lost." A silence hung between them. Jessica finally said, "I forgive you, but I'll never forget. Can I stay for the night? Just on the couch?" Jessica shook her head slowly. "No, Michael. That part of my life is over. You need to find your own way now, without hurting people who care." Michael stood still, his eyes full of pain, but he nodded. "Okay. Thank you for everything." He turned and walked away into the cold night, his figure fading down the snowy street. Jessica closed the door, leaned against it, and let out a long breath. She didn't cry. She didn't feel shattered. She felt free. Epilogue 1 year later. Jessica stood in front of her art gallery's grand opening. Her paintings now told stories of heartbreak, healing, and strength. Strangers were drawn to them, moved by the emotion they carried. A man stood beside her, Ryan, her new partner. Kind, gentle, respectful. He loved her not for what she gave him, but for who she was. As they held hands, someone asked, "What inspired your work?" Jessica smiled. "A lesson," she said, "that even the deepest pain can be the beginning of a stronger, brighter life." He came into my life like a storm, but when the clouds cleared, I found sunshine within myself.